Now that you're familiar with the bag of words representation, let's get your hands on the keyboard and have you using it in Sklearn. In Sklearn, bag of words is called count vectorizer, presumably because it's counting the number of times various words show up in a corpus. Now I'm going to walk you through some examples on the interpreter, and in the next few videos you'll get some hands-on experience via programming quizzes. I head over to the interpreter, and using the online documentation for reference, I import the count vectorizer. Count vectorizer lives in the feature extraction.txt part of Sklearn, which I got wrong the first time, but I can import it just like any other object in Sklearn. Then I create my vectorizer, and I need to feed it some documents that come in the form of strings. I liked Sebastian's example, but I think I want to do something that sounds a little bit more like the emails that I would actually expect to see in an inbox. So I'll make up some strings. These aren't really emails, but they kind of sound like them. The first thing I need to do to get these into count vectorizer is I need to put them into a list. Now I'm going to create the bag of words, which is what I get when I put this email list into my count vectorizer. And I actually did this a little bit wrong. There's two steps that I forgot here. The first is that I need to fit my data using my vectorizer. The next thing is I need to transform it. So first I'll do the fit. This is where it's actually figuring out what all the words in the corpus are, all the words in all the emails, and assigning, say, numbers or list indices to each of them. And then the transform is where it actually takes all the words in the corpus and figures out how many counts of each word occur. My syntax isn't perfect here, but this should work. And now to start to understand this, let me print my bag of words, see what it looks like. What I get is a bunch of tuples and integers. And while this looks rather opaque, we can actually unpack it in a fairly straightforward way. Let's take this row as an example. The way to interpret this is that in document number 1, word number 7 occurs one time. Now, of course, we have to ask what word number 7 is in order to interpret this as humans, but all of the information is there. Similarly, I can see in document number 1, word number 6 occurs 3 times. So just out of curiosity, let's go back up to document number 1 and figure out what we think word number 6 is. So document number 1 is going to be string 2 because the indexing starts at 0. And I can see that there is actually a word that's repeated 3 times, and it's the word great. So assuming that that's what word number 7 is, things are starting to make sense. From looking at the Sklearn documentation, I see that there's an attribute of the bag of words called the vocabulary, and this is a way that I can test my hypothesis. So I call the function get on my vocabulary, and I pass to it an argument which is the word, and my hypothesis is that what it should return, because this line gave us the clue that word number 6 in document 1 occurred 3 times. And that's what happens. So this way, for any word in the corpus, I can figure out what feature number it is in my bag of words. You can also go the other direction too. If you wanted to ask, for example, what is the word associated with feature number 6, there's a way you can extract this information too. We'll get to that in the next lesson on feature selection in a really cool example. But now I want to get your hands on the keyboard with a quiz.